What is going on, guys? Welcome to another Sunday video where we buy the dips and we sell the rips. And speaking of rips, boy, did one coin rip this weekend that we called in one of our previous videos. That is XBT. Man, boy, did this go crazy. Everybody was wondering, why is this moving? Why is this pumping? We don't know. We already knew it was going to pump. We just didn't know exactly when it is. And some of these coins, some take a little bit longer. Some literally just pump that same week or that same day. But eventually, if you position yourself accordingly and you find something that you like and you kind of, feel like there's a really good narrative for, eventually the coin will eventually start pumping. With that being said, guys, not financial advice, but everything we share here is what I'm doing to help you guys make some money and myself make some money. If you guys are following us on Boltz Alpha, we share these videos and this info early. In addition to that, guys, we're stream every Tuesday and Thursday, so you guys won't miss those nice 5, 10x's. We even catch, sometimes we catch 100x's like we did last stream. So hopefully you guys are ready to lock in. And of course, if you guys want plays every single day, Boltz Alpha is the place to go. With that being said, let's talk about it. So if you guys did watch my previous video where we talked about XBT and you put a little bit of dust or you put a little bit of Solana in there, you guys should have been able to claim that nice clean 8x. That was, that would happen throughout the weekend. But if not, let's see what we could find that could probably do pretty well. All right, the first thing we have, guys, is we're going to be talking about one coin that's completely bottomed out from its original 37 mil. And I personally feel this coin will continue to keep climbing eventually after it consolidates here, just because I've been seeing the team on Twitter actively posting that they're donating, Even though the CCM meta is not like the main meta currently right now, I still think this coin kind of separates itself a little bit from the CCM meta and more of a donation type of coin. So eventually this could have a nice little boost up here in case they get shot out by any of like a really popular streamer. So theoretically, this is completely bottomed out at 1.4 mil. I still think eventually here at this 1.4, it's worth taking a gamble, to be honest. Even if this pumps just like a nice little 2x, even at 80% or like 50%, it's still a relatively good buy, just in the sense that it can't, I mean, look, it can't go any lower, because if it goes any lower, it's pretty much over. But in addition to that, it could potentially go higher, right? Give you a nice little 2 to 3x. So it's kind of like a no-brainer just to throw in some dust in there and see what it does, okay? So that's streamer coin. The next one we have, of course, guys, is one that I've been telling you guys over and over, that we've gotten some 8x's here, 10x's on this call in particular. Right now, it's coming back down. It's coming back bottomed. This is FWOG. Now, FWOG is a very older coin. It's about a year old. And still relatively when it comes to the meta in sense of, pump fund. But the reason I like FWOG is because it is actually a artistic coin, and we don't have a lot of artistic coins currently right now that actually have thrived and done really well. The best one that has thrived and done pretty well is FWOG. So, right now it's coming back down to kind of its original state here of this 34 mil. This is where you kind of want to just set an alert, set an alarm, and be like, if it hits 34, I'll probably throw something in there. Because it has really potential. So this coin has done some really crazy numbers, from the many times it's actually dipped here to this 34, okay? So it went 34, came back to 50, 59, 63. It hasn't done a 2x, but you've been able to get some gains here, which is always good, okay? So this is something that I would keep in mind. Eventually, I do see we'll probably have another run up like this, where it went all the way to 100, but you just want to make sure you position yourself accordingly. So we're looking at this 34 dip. We want to make sure it doesn't fall below 32, because if it falls below 32, we might see a new number here of 25. I doubt that it comes down to 25, but it's something you want to keep an eye on. So for this one in particular, what I would do is I would set an alert so it could notify me if it comes down to 34. If it comes down to 34, I'm going to come in here and watch what's going to happen. If it keeps dipping, well, we might see 31, kind of like another floor there. But ideally, if it comes down to 25, that's when we're like, okay, cool. This looks like a very good one that I'm going to position myself and take kind of like a nice little dip on, okay? So that's this one right here. The next one we have is Trencher. Now, you guys know I've been calling Trencher since 57K. Still no love from the artist for calling it that early, and we keep promoting this coin. But I still think it's just has really good support in the sense of the people that are backing the coin. So I don't think they're going to let it completely die off. So right now it's in a very nice state, right? It came down all the way to 2.2 mil here. I'm going to set an alarm here and say if it comes down to 2.1, I'm going to take a nice little bit. It could give me a potential nice 2 to 3x here and kind of get some profit and just keep growing my bag, which is kind of like what we like doing here on the stream. And we like to teach people just grow your bag, grow your bag. So I wouldn't look for anything up here. I kind of want to see this 2 mil here. If it comes down to 2 mil, I'm bidding. It kind of came down to 2.3. I kind of want to see 2.1. That would be like my entry where it's like, okay, cool. I got a nice opportunity, this nice chance. Get that bid in there and see if it comes back up. Maybe give me a 2x to a 3x here, and then just wait for another dip. Okay, so that's going to be Trencher. The next one we're going to mention is a newer coin, and we kind of called this coin early in Boltz Alpha at 2 mil. It ran up to all the way to 20 mil, gave us a nice little 10x. So hopefully you guys already took profit there. But if you didn't take profit there, it gave us another beautiful entry throughout the weekend, which is right down here, which is kind of like this 5 mil range. So we were kind of expecting it to go to 4. So, gave us a nice little dip here between like that 4.9 to 5 mil range. What we theoretically want to see with this coin, and what I've been saying about this coin, is I want to see consolidation. Right now, we don't have like a really good consolidation aspect where it's like that's where it's staying. So what I'm looking for this coin in particular, if I get this kind of dip like here again, which I doubt, but if we do, that would be a really interesting point to kind of just add to my position in the sense that I feel like it's not going to go any lower than that. That is my just, kind of like what I'm seeing right now based on the coin. But with that being said, it might not even come back down that way. So I'm looking at this range right here. I'm looking at the 7 mil range, right? So if you're not in this coin, this is where you kind of got to pay attention to. You want to look what happens here at the 7. Either this coin comes down to 7 and it bounces back up and it just goes back up, goes back down, goes back up. Then we get that nice consolidation range, right? Then we get that nice consolidation range, which is what we want to see on a coin. So, we want to see the kind of like this, and potentially, within a new consolidation phase, we see a nice little rip to test the all-time high again. And then we'll get another little dip and hopefully we see that 30 mil. I still think this coin hits 30 mil eventually, but we want to see that consolidation phase, which I thought we were going to get here, but we didn't. We got a crazy dip here, and this is what I'm expecting. So hopefully, if you take a bid at 7, for example, and if you're not in this coin, you still theoretically could get a nice little 3x here, after that 30 mil pump. Eventually, I think this coin will do better than 30 mil, but I don't think it's going to do it like overnight where it's like it goes all the way up, right? It's going to be one of those things where we have a consolidation, we get a nice little push up, and then we see actually a good movement. So we're bidding really, really heavy on this one right here. The next one we have, guys, is this one called TOKABU. This one I've been mentioning over and over and over and over. You guys know that. Another really, really good coin. The thing I like about this coin is just the community behind this coin. Super strong, super bullish. They keep posting, they keep rating. Very strong community here. And it's kind of like floor where it's 21 to 22 mil range. That's kind of been the floor multiple times, right? We've seen this one hit here. It came back went up to 80. It kind of never came back here down until today that it kind of came down here to this 20 mil range. So potentially this looks like a nice little 2x to a 3x. Now what I'm looking for here, guys, is I'm looking for this range. I kind of want to get in here within that 20 mil range, 22 mil range there. But potentially this comes down to 15, okay? So if this does come down to 15, which is down here, this is kind of what I'm looking at right now. If it does come down to 15, I am taking a nice little bit here at 15. Ideally, the way I usually run these is like, okay, I'll be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to throw like maybe like 1 Solana, 5 Solana here at this 23 mil range. If it does come back down here to 15, that's when I'm taking a bigger gamble to kind of get my average cost somewhere between here, like in that kind of like, that 16 mil range. Because I know potentially I could get a nice little 2x out of this one or even a 3x. But I just want to make sure that we start seeing some consolidation somewhere around here within that 20 mil range. That way I know the coin's going to kind of, push up a little bit higher, right? So it's something that you want to keep an eye on here on this one, right? The next one we have is GRIFFAIN. And now the reason we're mentioning GRIFFAIN is because it's had some really interesting pushes here lately where we had a kind of like a big dip right here of this 27. And then it ran up to 140. And then we had another dip here of this 32, ran up to 60. So kind of like a nice little clean there, like 90% to a 2x. What I'm looking for GRIFFAIN is I'm kind of want to see if we ever see another touch here within this 26 to 25 mil range. That is where I would possibly take a bid. It's just like something you want to keep a track on. So you just want to set your alert here to kind of like this 26 mil range to that 25 mil range, just to kind of if it does dip there, that's when you take the bid because you want to track this one. GRIFFAIN is one of like a really, really good token, but it just has gone through a lot. But I still think potentially this does really, really solid, especially within that AI meta. Okay. The next one we have is MOBY. Now, MOBY's had some beautiful consolidation. It's move up, move down, move up, move down. Ideally, what I want to see here is if we get another touch here to that 12 mil range, that's when I'm going to be like, okay, you know what? Maybe I should add to my position, or maybe I should add a little bit of the position. The reason being is because MOBY's making a transition into the bunk ecosystem, and that hasn't happened yet. So I'm expecting whenever that happens, we get a nice little boost, a nice little potential boost, giving us, if we get in that 12 mil, like at least a 2, 3 to 4x just on this one particular. So we're waiting for that transition. I just don't know how much lower it's going to come down as far as, you know, dips we're going to get. But it looks like 12 would be a very nice starting point to kind of start moving a position here. So another one I would keep an eye on. The next one we have is Spark. As you guys know, I've been a big proponent of Spark. We actually called Spark so early at 200K. If you guys are in the Boltz Alpha, you guys got this call. If you're not in Boltz Alpha, you guys are completely missing out on some of these plays. 200K all the way to 60 mil, boys. That's some crazy printing. Only in Boltz Alpha, man. Link is down below. Make sure you guys join us. But with that being said, right now it looks like we're coming into a nice little re-entry zone from the previous one that we called, which was down here, which is here, and it kind of gave us a nice push to 37. So a nice little clean 2x here, kind of do a little bit of an exit, and then we'll see if we come back in here if we touch this kind of like this 14 to 12 mil range. If we touch that again, that is when I'm going to take a bid because potentially we get another nice little push with a 2x to a 3x. I think eventually this will test all-time highs. I thought it was going to test all-time highs sooner rather than later, but there's been so many things moving around the ecosystem. As you guys know, we got a streaming meta, then we had a launchpad war. So things have been kind of not moving as fluid as they usually do because we've had so many distractions. But with that being said, nice little entry here if we get into that 17 mil to that 12 mil range here to be able to get a nice little clean 2 to 3x. Okay. Then we have LABUBU. This one's literally kind of on my entry zone that I've been saying. So I think LABUBU is going to be a nice little front run here for October. I don't think this is going to pump anytime during September. What I would like to see is I kind of just want to see this just stay here and hang here in that 5 mil range. Kind of do a little bit of, you know, 5 mil to 10 mil, come back to 5 mil to 10 mil, come down to 5. I think in October, this actually does really, really well. Once again, not financial advice, but that's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to take an added position here at that 5 mil range here. I think we see a nice little consolidation here. And I think during Halloween, around that time, we see a nice little boost. Maybe potentially we get a little 4x here to, you know, 5x. Ideally, I would want this to get a 10x all the run up back to all-time high to 50. I just don't know it's going to have that much power. It just depends on how many people dress up as LABUBU and how many people, you know, gift LABUBUs for Christmas, right? It's going to be kind of like one of those, you know, Q4 plays. But I think potentially here, if it stays here in that 5 mil range, I'm going to add a little bit of position here. And I hope it comes down to 5, like a flat 5. If it doesn't come to a flat 5, I'm going to be happy with 5.3. It's not that big of a difference. But I do hope that we get a nice little 10x for LABUBU. The last one, guys, is Project 89. Now, Project 89 is another really AI type of coin here play. It's had multiple consolidations. It's had a nice little rip here. I mean, it's gone all the way up almost to 100 mil. Right now, it's been consolidating here within that 9 mil, 7 mil range. We've gotten multiple entries. So what I'm looking for here right now, it's kind of tapping our kind of like zone that we have where it's like, yo, pay attention to me. And we're looking to see if it comes down to 7.2. That is where we want to make sure we pay a nice little close attention to this and pay, you know, be like, okay, well, maybe we should look into this one, see what it's doing, see if they're doing anything new. So I would set an alert for like 7.2 to see what it does. If we get that notification, yo, come and check me out. We're going to come and check out the chart and we might take a bid here on Project 89. Those are the coins for this week, guys. Once again, if you guys don't want to miss any of these calls early, subscribe to YouTube or join us over on Boltz Alpha where we post these videos early for you guys. And every Tuesday and Thursday we stream, so come by and hang out. And if you guys don't want to miss the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 100x, join Boltz Alpha. That's where the alpha is because we're the alpha before the alpha. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one.